Hello and welcome to Master Edison Format. This is a channel for you to get better at Edison, and today we're going to be reviewing Yondaime's run at the peak of the beak 11, and the goal of this video is really not so much to focus on the run or anything like that. It's mostly to understand how, the Yondaime, a very, just an amazing Blackwing player, plays Blackwings, and try to get some insight into his plays and try to understand kind of how you can play this deck better from one of the best. And so that's kind of the focus of the video. And before we start going through the replays, we're going to go through from top 16 all the way to the finals. We're going to just kind of talk about the list for a second. And this is the Blackwing list you won with. You have the monster lineup is very similar for most Blackwing decks. Some of them play one Vayu, some of them play Golds. Here you see two Vayus, which it's honestly just kind of a personal preference. Some like decks that play Upstart, I would say I would only play one Vayu because you don't really want to draw it. Decks that play cards like I'm trying to think like the reason to play two Vayus, maybe with like the Book of Moon you get to resolve the Shura more often or things like that, so maybe that's like the reason for having multiples. But anyway, he went for this monster lineup, which is very similar to the standard one. The spells are also very similar in most Blackwings deck. You see the one Book of Moon here. I've seen this play Mind Control, I've seen this play different things. I like Book of Moon because against like in a meta where a lot of decks are playing 7-2s, a lot of decks are playing Trapstun, like GBs, and even in the mirror match you've seen a lot of Blackwings, like the one that won the World Championship qualifier was playing two 7-2s in the main. So Book of Moon kind of plays around all that, and like of course works very well with your Shura, works well with your Bora, like Sirocco Bora, like not exactly OTKs but big damage pushes. So things like this make Book of Moon like a very good card in this deck specifically. And then the rest of the spells are nothing too crazy here. For the traps, the one big kind of talking point I've seen is that there's no Mirror Force in the main, and there's one oppression. So Mirror Force, it's interesting decision not to play it and to play Deep Prison over it. I would say in a vacuum Mirror Force is better than Prison, but in this format maybe you're afraid, you already have Icarus for like destroy multiple targets and things like that, and so usually your opponent doesn't get to have so many things in the field that Mirror Force is really gonna get a big press. So Prison is what I guess like punishes like single monster, or like if they just have one big monster, the Prison is gonna punish that better. Consider that in a deck that plays Icarus, often your opponent doesn't want to commit more than one monster anyway, so Mirror Force is not gonna always catch as many monsters as you want. And on top of that, like, it's one of the main traps everybody plays around. People don't attack or put their one monster to defense and attack with the other one, to play around exactly cards like Mirror Force. So it's it's an interesting decision not to have Mirror Force. Again, it's not great into stuff like 7-2, Strapstun, and so I guess like the change is to have the Book of Moon. And it's interesting to see this one main deck oppression. I mean, this year, like in the format, GBs have gotten more a little bit more popular. I would say that like a lot of combo decks have gotten more popular, like Frog OTK. And in this tournament specifically, there was a lot of Gigavice and things like that. So the oppression seems like a decent card to have in the main. And it's not great into the Blackwing and Vayu mirror. Into the Blackwing mirror or against Vayu Turbo, it's not great. So that's one matchup in which it's not great, but just having one, it means like sometimes you're gonna have it in game one against all the frog decks and things like that, and I mean it's definitely gonna put in some work at some points. In the side, nothing crazy to say here. You have second Book of Moon, you have two Cyber Dragons, two Crows. Interesting to see the Prophecy, Transmigration Prophecy. So it's kind of like almost like a third Crow, but that takes two cards, shuffles them. It's better than Crow in certain matchups. Maybe I'm a bigger fan of Crow and things like that, but it is what it is. This can be something that our players don't expect. It's chainable, so it works well like in a deck where they're gonna want to MST your heavy your back row pretty often. 3 pulling the rug, I think this is smart. Like in Blackwings, a little bit struggles against Monarchs because in a lot of situations you're gonna have Icarus. You don't like the only clean out you have to Monarchs in this deck is like Sorum, because even a card like Icarus, if they just have one Monarch to really out this, you have to like you know, basically target your own card, so it doesn't work too well. So 3 in the rug makes sense. And then 1 deck Devi, 2 Noblemen. I mean, I think Noblemen is smart. They're gonna play Raikos. I mean, probably not Snowman Eater anymore, but some decks play Snowman Eater and things like that, so Nobleman would be good. Starting with the top 16, Yondaime plays against YuGiOh. He's on, looks like GBs, and here in the starting hand, he has kind of not, you know, one of those not great starting hands with Blackwings. There's a few things he can do, and like, I think, you know, what you want to do is generally set 2, probably Bottomless, Legacy, and if you really want to set a monster, you can, but you really don't need to. So I'm curious to see what he did. So here he thinks about, he's going for sets 2, summons the Karut, and this kind of is basically bluffing an Icarus attack, and it's also kind of making a point thing that he could have maybe another Karut, he could have Icarus. It's a little bit telegraphing that he could have Blizzard in hand, because you usually don't want to just summon your Karut out like this, but yeah, just go through this and then basically make some think about Icarus, so like he doesn't commit multiple traps, which you see is already one effect of this bluff. He doesn't go for the rescue cat, doesn't want to get blown out by Icarus, so again, like this kind of makes your opponent play in an awkward way. And here he gets aggressive. He has 2 Blizzards, so like he doesn't mind committing another one, and usually you want to hold the Blizzard for the right time, but against a deck like GBs, they can get quite aggressive themselves, so you kind of want to get ahead and try to stay in that position. Here Prison's gonna hit the Karut, but again, like this, you keep bluffing the Icarus, and now you take the rescue cat. Again, you see the GB player only set 1, still playing around the Icarus, which is not there. And Heavy comes down, unfortunately, so this is kind of the unfortunate situation here with the Heavy, and yeah, you do draw the Sorim now. And he doesn't even set the Sorim because he knows that there is a chance that the opponent's gonna go into a Bestiary, and he doesn't really want to just Sorim a random GB, and he knows the hand with the Dashut too, so he knows that the Sorim is set, so if he does this, like, he might just die or be very close to dying this turn. So now, yeah, now he's behind, keeps drawing kind of dead cards, and now like the kind of the game kind of flipped on its head. The Heavy for 3 cards was very strong, goes through the Blizzard, gets Sorim'd, you know, he's wrong life, but now he can go for the Gizero spray, and yeah, that's just going to be game. And yeah, GB takes game 1. He sided in the Consecrated Light. Here you see a very monster heavy hand. Yeah, generally speaking, like you might want to hold off on Shura because you have Cyber Dragon, Sirocco. The point is that if you don't summon anything, then your opponent knows you have Sirocco 7, so they also won't. And now with the Shura you can get ahead and start doing out damage. The hand the GB player has is very slow, so it doesn't really do much. And now he has to set and pass and set into the Shura, which, you know, a little bit telegraphs the Consecrated Light. The MST does clean the Icarus, which would have been a good out to the Consecrated, but you know, there was a trap stun there anyway. Sun Knight comes down, and now he can somewhat he can't go into Gizeros because of the Consecrated Light. But the oppression is set here, so now you're gonna compose this, goes for the Heavy, which is kind of like the perfect card here, because now he can go into a Gizero spray, and this is kind of you know, it's not looking great for Yondaime, but he has Blizzard Gale, so he has a lot of ways to come back from this game, and like the opponent is only on 4400, so that's something to keep in mind. Like even if he makes the Eracrinos, it's gonna be okay. The Cyber Dragon comes down, kills the Consecrated Light. Now you have the Blizzard. Blizzard goes into he goes for the Gale first. Now Torrential comes down, which kind of outs everything. But now even if even if the Retiari is summoned, and like even if it brings back something big, it has to bring a Quarry, so Sirocco can't attack over. He does draw the Book of Mundo, which is pretty huge in this spot, but you see the Cyber Dragon is gonna come down, and it's just kind of a very close back and forth game. Here it's, yeah, he just draws the Vayu, kind of has to kind of protect himself, and now sets the Secutor and passes. The Armling comes down, gets to attack Secutor, well played here. The Dust Tornado hits the bottom, and now top deck Blizzard. This is gonna turn the game in his favor, and now he attacks, pops both, and it's just game. There was enough damage. Like, just well played by Yondaime. I have to be honest, he did get a little bit lucky there at one point towards the end, because yeah, like they were both top decking, and if he didn't top deck the Blizzard, it would be, you know, much harder to, or Nico is much harder to win the game. anyway, Shura gets bottomless. Here is where like, you could have saved the Shura with the Book of Moon, but it doesn't really make a ton of sense because your opponent can just summon an EGB, kill the Shura anyway, so you really don't want to do that. MST hits the oppression, Secutor comes down, and this is not, you know, not the ideal start you were hoping for if you're Blackwings. Now he has basically a Aerocrino spray off the bat and sets one passes. Here is where things gonna get a little bit interesting. Book of Moon comes down, but he has a second Bora, which is really clutch here in this situation. Decides to hold the Book of Moon over basically the what do you call it, the Deep Prison, because he feels like it plays better out Trapsan, which the opponent does have. And yeah, here a quarry comes down, is gonna get to clear this is gonna get to clear the Brionac. Shura comes down, gets solemned, and here you know it looks like the GB is gonna come back, the GB pair is gonna come back, but Yondaime has a lure, but he didn't, you know, desperately use a lure because he didn't feel like he need to. He draws a Blizzard, and Blizzard is just gonna be game if there's no answer, which there isn't. So again, you see really well played to not go for the lure. He had to get lucky. He had to top deck. The Blizzard at the right time again in this game, but you know, well played not to, you know, try to lure the Blizzard away. Just go for game. Of course, if there's a Deep Prison there, stuff like that, you lose, but you know the GB pair, the GB deck does play, you know, a number of like random things like you know, trap sounds and things that don't interact super well. You know, like it could even just be any bluff set, you know, stuff, you know, things like that could be set. But yeah, anyway, Yondaime did get lucky and did manage to pull the win out. In the next replay, he's playing against Swag Lord 777. This is the top 8. Swagglord is playing, I think, some sort of like hero, some sort of either Foro TK or like hero of a quick drop frog type of deck. I think this is a Foro TK deck most likely. So yeah, Moeogi, yeah, this is Foro TK for sure. Yeah, draws the death, and it's interesting to see the starting hand. He decided to not set any of his real back row, just also setting the Shura is quite interesting. I think, you know, this is a way to kind of a little bit bluff the possibility of having Icarus. Again, this is something that he knows very well, other players respect against Blackwing, so you see even here, not that he could have done a huge amount of things, but like, you know, still like he didn't want to set the MST, they want to set 2 cards into potential Icarus and things like that. So I think, yeah, again, this is really well played, really kind of playing with the idea of the Icarus. And it's interesting to me that he uses Yata so aggressively, because I feel like as a Blackwing player you really want to you know, catch your opponent's MST with this and so on, like make your opponent MST this or use heavy on this. So, you know, but he realizes that he's not going to be able to attack over just with the Shura because he knows what he's up against, so he goes with the on-wing, and now he set the bottomless. Now swap comes down again, not using the MST, goes for swap again for Substitute, uses Salvage. Now he has double Substitute and then goes for the Substitute play, sends everything, goes for dupe. I guess he's going for the Unifrog now. Yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate because the Unifrog is going to start outing the back row, and yeah, the point is you did leave yourself exposed to another Shura. Yeah, so dupe is going to add the Unifrog, and now Shura is going to get to summon from deck. And yeah, he's just getting aggressive. He doesn't care about the goals because he has Icarus, and he goes for the armor. So interesting decision here. He realizes that this is a Froggle TK deck, so he wants him to have to basically kill him through a defense position Armor Master, which is not so easy. Of course, if you can make Brionac and stuff like that, it's possible. But the thing is, if you leave this in attack, they can just equip their Armor Yarn to this and then just crash all their monsters and kill you, or crash their Colossal Fighter and kill you. By putting this in defense, they can't equip to the Shura because the Colossal Fighter will crash, so it's not going to be able to keep doing this. So it's just kind of interesting now, the decision to go for this, but it's a correct one. Here MSC snipes the Icarus bottomless, hits the death. He decides to do this preemptively to Leon with just 1 monster. Now the death comes down, but that's still a pretty good outcome. He didn't, you know, he survived and he didn't get OTK'd. flip flop comes down, but now he has, I mean, he has the out. He has the Bora. He decides not to even go for the Brionac play, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't know if I agree with this, because you could go for Blizzard, summon back the Shura, go for Brionac bounce the flip flop. I feel like that would have been cleaner maybe, but I might be mistaken. Just felt like that would have been a cleaner win. But yeah, I mean, I guess you can go for another armed wing and it's just game anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of off the top of my head trying to think like what might be the reason not to go for that. Maybe you're afraid of, I mean, I don't think you're afraid of Crow or anything like that. So in the side you see Mausoleum and this and that, and this is why Blackwings is so strong, by the way, is that you play a lot of traps and interaction and ecos and stuff people have to respect. At the same time, you can just draw Whirlwind and then just go off like and do a ton of damage in turn 1 and not give your opponent enough time to assemble the combo. So here, off the bat, he's already doing basically 3k in damage. He has a defense position Armor Master, which is not so easy to kill through, and again, you see this play often. Of course he has the out here, but like he had to have exactly basically Dark Spirit or like a Caius or something like that to out this, and not every 4-go TK deck has the conversion size or like the Monarchs and things like that in game 2. Here he sets, well done to end phase MST, even though yes, like the 3-1 is there, like you have to assume this is a chainable anyway since the 3-1 is there, so you don't want to wait and then the Regeki break is chained, rather you would like to do this. So now he can go for Brionac, bounce his own card, and now yeah, he can go for the the level 8 and do a ton of damage. If he had the Karut, this would already be game, but he doesn't have Karut. So now sets 1, passes Dark Spirit, comes down, he gets to pop it with the Icarus. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate that Dark Spirit does out your board, but he's on 500 life points and he already normal summon, so there's not like he just knows this matchup so well. Like there's nothing he can really do here. Like only thing he can do is like special summon swap in defense, and like try to survive. But even then, like even swapping defense, you can make an armed wing. So just really skillfully played. Very well played by Yondaime. I think the opponent didn't have the best hand here either, but it just like he really put him under so much pressure that like the Mausoleum didn't do anything. I don't know why Wet Trends is here, but I mean, okay. But regardless of the deck, I think you see how in this matchup, like one of the keys is like making sure you don't get killed. So putting the defense position Armor Master. So it's one of the things I think not every player, or at least I'm not a huge like Blackwing player, so I something I didn't really think about like doing like so often against 4-go TK. In the semifinal, he's playing against Magical Mullet, and he's on the Gigavice, and this was like one of 3 Gigavice players in top 16. I think he beat the 2 other Gigavice players. The Yondaime has a very, very good hand, especially for going second. Of course, depends what the opponent is gonna do, but like if he goes for the whole combo, then yeah, you might be in a little bit of trouble. But here, it goes for like not the whole combo, but like a part of the combo. It's interesting to see the stack Offering of the Doom. This is basically something that like outs the an opponent's monster, like a Foster Dyna Vanities, but you'd skip your draw phase, which you will already be skipping with Reckless, so it doesn't really have a huge cost. And yeah, here Whirlwind Shura is pretty insane in this situation, because you can just do this attack, and now you can seal this and synchro with it, and basically you clear the whole board. And again, against like aggressive OTK decks, he has to he decides to go for this defense position Armor Master play, which again you see come time and again. Here he sets 1, passes, and goes for Legacy. He has another. He has a bottomless. He runs into the Mirror Force, unfortunately, but this is kind of, he has the answer for the Gigaplant here. And again, he's under the he's still under the Reckless, so he's not drawing any more cards. So now he can just put pressure. He puts him on 2-turn clock. He decides to hold the Gale, because this could be important in a future turn, and the opponent doesn't draw anything useful and just wins the game. And like here, I mean, the heavy definitely helped, but like he really like pushes his advantage. Here we have interesting Ghost Arc for Giant Tornado. This is something that's you don't see all the time. Often you see Roam Fire and then return and then DDR and bringing back the Roam Fire and things like that. But it looks like a solo hand here. He doesn't have the equip spell, so he can go for the combo. Yeah, he draws the DDR, which is kind of unfortunate. But I don't think he had the equip anyway, so he couldn't really do anything here. But you see, just get aggressive. Like with this deck, especially against combo, if they don't assemble the combo, they don't play a ton of traps, so you try to just get as aggressive as possible. Goes for the Gale, starts attacking for them, and again, doesn't make a synchro, doesn't need to play into bottomless, things like that. And now Tornado comes back, and now Tornado is used, he chains the Dust Tornado, Book of Moon is chained, and yeah. Roam Fire comes down, goes for the Titanium. Titanium can be annoying, but you do have the out, you have the Karut in hand, and yeah, goes for the Blizzard effect. Gale is used. He doesn't use he doesn't chain the Titanium because he would just lose it anyway. And then when the attack happens, Karut is used, and yeah, it's nothing really, like just nothing really much to do here. Like the gear pen bricked, but you see, like, just certain decisions, like you really want to get aggressive with this deck if like you're playing against a deck that's trying to combo, or like a deck that's gonna win the long game. Like even against decks like Yellow Frog, of course you have to be always careful about Chaos and like Absolute Zero, but if you get aggressive, you just don't allow them to basically get the win condition, which is like winning the game over long turns. So yeah, that's really what makes this deck powerful. Here he has double Icarus too, which is why he didn't, I guess, like he got Book of Moon, but it's one of the reasons, I guess, like he probably wouldn't have synchroed anyway. Maybe he would have made just a normal Master in defense position, kept the Blizzard, so that would have just helped them kind of defend themselves even more. But I mean, he just well played. Yeah, unfortunately, opponent got a little bit unlucky here too. Into last replay, this is the finals, and Yondaime is going up against Team Pontes. Very good player. He's playing this like really crazy like frog, like decked out, like Spear of Chaos deck, like just I think it's like a frog monarch kind of, but like with like synchros, and like it's just interesting. Like Yondaime here goes first. He has a few decisions. He decides just to set this and pass. Like he decides, like, I mean, I guess he knows the matchup, the most likely bottom it's not going to be useful on turn 1. He decides also not to allure this Gale away, which is interesting. He feels like he values the Gale more, and like he plays 2 Vayu in the deck, so like he could draw one of them too. So yeah, he just sets this and passes, and yeah, the opponent kind of has to play into it. If he heavies, then he gets plus. If he MSTs, he gets a plus. If he goes for Unifrog, it's also a good plus. And now he goes for the Legacy, and this is also good play if, like, you know, you draw into stuff like Heavy Storm. And now he decides to allure because yeah, he has the Blizzard or the Vayu. Decides to heavy, realizes that he's not going to get much more value in this matchup, and doesn't shotgun the dash shoot. That's something important to keep in mind. Like, this is, a lot of players shotgun the dash shoot, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but he feels like here he's better off like holding it, and he decides just to hold it to at least to make him think he has the Icarus. This kind of poses a real threat in a deck like Blackwings. So yeah, this is chained, and now dash shoot is chained to this, and so now I guess like he can still synchro, and I mean, just go off a little bit because he has 1-for-1. I mean, really not much you can do there. So now dupe, and he has the super lock. Now he can brain control though, and he can half make Catastor. Catastor is gonna kill this, and then Blizzard is gonna kill the Sub-Zero, and basically he cleared the board, and now he decides to set 3. Even though Heavy hasn't been used, he just decided if Heavy was there, it would have been used before. Now Unifrog attacks, Book of Moon makes the 3-bone face down, so the Unifrog doesn't get its effect, and yeah, Bora comes down, it can do a ton of damage here, and now the game is kind of flipped on its head. Really, there's 1 turn left, and like there's no way, there's almost no way like he can come back from this. Here, doing damage basically gives him 1 more turn to live, just to play around Mirror Force or something like that. But I mean, okay, it was gonna be game anyway in the next turn. So going second now, Team Pontes is starting off with basically a very back row heavy hand. Like I guess he's siding into more traps, and he starts off with the dash shoot. You see Yondaime side into Pouring the Rock. This is good against like the Monarchs, good against the Junk Synchron, it's going against the swap. So it's just a good card in this matchup. So you probably side it into 2 or 3. And the Dashes here is going to take something. He has double Sirocco and the Karut, so he takes this Karut. He knows about Sirocco now, so he's not going to summon unless he really needs to. And you see, like, he just goes for swap, which can be bounced. He draws top decks Ashura, and he has double Pulling the Rug, Book of Moon. The Pulling the Rug is something that like the opponent has to always like he knows about, so like he's not gonna commit his Caius into it, and he doesn't want to summon the Treeborn into potentially Ashura. And yeah, with the Shura set is something that like, the opponent is gonna like attack into with the swap because he thinks it's gonna be something like a he thinks it's gonna be like a Vayu or something like that. So he attacks, Shura is flipped, and now bounces the swap. Now Shura goes to attack, doesn't attack with it. He leads into potentially Deep Prison, so doesn't want to give him the Deep Prison value here. Would rather set the Icarus, and then when Deep Prison is used, he can chain the Icarus. So really well played. This is something you see very often with Blackwings. You don't want to like summon into Bottomless or Deep Prison until you have Icarus set to punish the trap used. So yeah, now he attacks. Deep Prison, Icarus is chained, hits both back row. Raigeki Break is chained, another Raigeki Break chain, which is alright. The only problem is that you still basically you still basically lost, like, you discarded 2 cards throughout this, so, and he still has he still has 1 Pulling the Rug set, so yeah, the Pulling the Rug here being here basically prevents the Caius. He draws the Dark Arm, which might be really strong here. Now Vayu gets attacked over, Caius comes down. I mean, he should know about the Pulling the Rug, so he could have, if he wanted to, he could have gone for the Testaros early, but anyway, here unfortunately Dark Arm is gonna come down and it's just gonna be game. He has Karut in hand too, so yeah, not really like. I mean, to be honest, these were kind of anticlimactic, some of these games, but you really see like Yondaime navigated things well. Of course, like when a deck like Blackwings, like sometimes your deck is gonna help you out. Like in some situations, you're gonna draw the Shura, you're gonna draw the Blizzard, and we saw that in the top 16. But yeah, after that, he basically, I don't think he lost a single game after the top 16. So yeah, just 2-0 with everybody in top 8, top 4, and in finals. So just very well played by Yondaime. Hope you guys got some value from this video. I know that sometimes like the replays are a bit fast. It's kind of hard to explain everything, or maybe I'm missing something, which is completely possible because I'm doing this kind of like on the go pretty quickly. But yeah, like you really see some of the common themes in Blackwings. You see like something that not a lot of players do is set Shura, because that kind of plays around, a Bottomless being there. That kind of makes your opponent think you have Icarus, that makes your opponent think you have set a Vayu, something like that. Like personally, when I play Blackwing, I really never think about setting Shura, but in this specific matchup where their monster has 1000 attack, the Shura will survive, so it's actually not bad to set it. And the other thing you see is, yeah, Defense Precision Armor Master. It's something that I think caught my eye. It's something that you don't, like, I guess you'd use it against, like, specifically matchups that are tied to OTK or like combo decks, or like that's kind of a cool idea, a cool game plan that we've seen both in the top 8 and in the top 4. So yeah, congrats to Yondaime, exceptional player. I hope you guys got some value from this video. Subscribe if you want to get better at Edison, and I'll catch you in the next one.